Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Speechless. I'm your host, Dan Halpern, and today we're going to be debating the issues that matter. We'll cover a wide range of topics from politicians to pop culture. Tonight, we'll be discussing trigger warnings, Yelp for people, and the rights of protesters. Let's get ready for a fierce fight. Ready, set, speechless. Welcome back to Speechless, and let's give a warm welcome to the two teams that are going to be debating tonight. On my right, we have the Colonial Centaurs with James Rowland and Julia Linger. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Great.
You ready to get this debate going? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And on my left, we have the Paramount Pegasi with Yale Freed and Elizabeth Eigner. How did you guys prepare for this debate tonight?
We took extensive notes on the subjects that are at play today.
Yeah, definitely. A
Those-
lot of notes.
Both of us.
Those look
really
extensive.
prepped.
And so does that drawing. All right, now it's time to introduce everyone to our lovely panel of judges. On my right, we have Josh Samuels, we have Medina Shehi, and P.T. Philbin. How are you guys feeling about this debate tonight? What are your expectations like?
Good. I just want to understand the topics in a way that I haven't before.
Yeah, I'm expecting to be heavily persuaded.
I'm expecting Dan to get overly excited.
It just might happen. So, trigger warnings notify people that content exposed to them may be disturbing or harmful, and are commonly found in university settings. The purpose of these warnings is to allow students that may be sensitive to certain topics to excuse themselves from the lesson. Although they have proven to be helpful in avoiding trauma, it is possible that trigger warnings are interfering with many students' educations. Are trigger warnings a necessary protection, or are they a hindrance to our education? I think we should start with the Paramount Pegasi. What do you guys feel with this?
Now, Dan, we're pretty clear on this on our side. We definitely are against trigger warnings. The fact of the matter is, they're providing something that we don't need. I mean, when you cut down to the traumatic level, it's not for teachers to decide what should be happening on a traumatic level. And it's not for students to decide that either. From a psychological standpoint, trauma should be confronted and not avoided. What trigger warnings are doing are they're taking students who may have dealt with something traumatic in the past and they're fleeing from that issue instead of confronting it. Now, from vast amount of psychological standpoints, that's not helping. It's a misguided attempt at helping a student, but in the end, trauma is something to be confronted. And furthermore, education isn't something that you decide you don't want to deal with because you're tired or it's difficult for you. Education is something that should supersede anything else, including a difficult topic. Education is supposed to confront difficult issues.
And what do you guys think, the Centaurs? How do you feel on this issue?
I mean, Yale makes a great point, but at the same time, people with severe PTSD or other things like that, they're better prepared, and it's almost saying it's not completely avoiding the subject. It's just warning them that what's coming so they can prepare if they are going to have a relapse, flashback, or panic attack. So it's
Yeah.
I think the real issue here, though, is that while we do, of course, want students to feel safe in their learning environments, traumatic experiences and intense emotion is an incredibly powerful thing. And when we shouldn't shield ourselves from these emotions. Instead, we should embrace them. These are powerful emotions that can be harnessed to enact real change in the world. And when we block ourselves from them, we block ourselves from creating powerful change.
I mean, that's incredibly true. Furthermore, I mean, going back to the time of Socrates, Socrates was one of the foremost opinions on education, thousands of years ago. And what his biggest point of all is that teachers need to teach their students how to think differently. I mean, people who face trauma, they've been forced to think in a specific way. And what Socrates was talking about and what teachers are talking about nowadays is that education is supposed to change that. And by offering the students the opportunity to walk out or brace for something by not being present, we're losing the very principles of education.
But classrooms are supposed to be, safe spaces, and it should not be a place where issues like personal issues are debated and brought out. If the purpose of trigger warnings is to empower people who are usually not empowered by giving them opportunity to deal with this on their own terms. Those issues should be done outside privately. Also, education has changed. Obviously, the way we teach now is not the way we taught in ancient Greece. So
Well,
I-
I
and-
completely agree that education has changed, and I think it's changed for the better, and that we can talk about more open topics and we can bring in more perspectives. But if we don't bring in, like, if people are avoiding these issues rather than talking about them, we leave the people who are most experienced in the conversation
Exactly.
out.
And
now
let's
we
think
can't
let's think about it
experience
from a
what they're
literature
saying.
standpoint. You know, in literature, what in literature have you read that's all fairy tales and ponies and everything's easy? Literature confronts some of the hardest things. And it's not just students who face trauma. Students are avoiding reading F. Scott Fitzgerald because there's alcoholism, because there's sexual abuse, because there's domestic abuse. Are we saying that the future readers and writers of America shouldn't have to read these things because it might confront difficult issues? The biggest point here, life doesn't have trigger warnings. Why should education?
Well, we're also arguing the fact it doesn't mean that we're completely getting rid of educating people on the subject. We're just giving them a heads up. We're telling them if this is something that bothers you, maybe you may want to step out. But it doesn't mean we're not going to teach it
That's
at
a
all.
very good point. I wish we had more time. We're out of time. We have to go straight to our judges and see what they think about this debate.
I thought it was pretty good debate, given that this is a very sensitive topic. I thought Paramount for me was a little bit stronger, specifically Elizabeth. I thought you rocked it. I liked the fact that you talked about not wanting to leave out people who are oftentimes most connected to or qualified to handle the topic. And I like the fact that you brought up that critical thinking is a key component of education. So.
I really loved what Colonial said about education has changed. Like that really, I thought that everyone could relate with that. But I thought again about Socrates. We still learn about Socrates. We still learn about those philosophies. So it always keeps on going. And also you brought up F. Scott Fitzgerald, which is my absolute favorite author. And I always preach to read his writing, even though it has all of the probably negative aspects that people want to hide. So it was very equal in that area. But because of those examples, I stick to Paramount.
I think that debate could have done with a trigger warning myself, but moving on. I have to go with the Pegasi, mainly because both sides were able to match each other's points very well, but I felt that the Centaurs, I believe it is, never fully addressed the argument of we need to face the trauma head on. So that was what tipped the scale for me personally.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, judges. And Pegasi, you guys have won the first round. Congratulations. Well, here's a quick trigger warning. A commercial break is coming your way, but Speechless will be right back.
And I'm Aaron Königsberg.
College Kitchen is a show where we're going to take you around Boston to show you all the hottest food spots.
Whether that is man food, which is your burgers, your bacon, your meat, all that grease, yes.
Or like Sweet Talk, where we'll show you sweet tooth lovers where to get your cake fix, your ice cream fix, all that good stuff.
We also have Wild Card, which is your ticket to food from all over the world.
Or if you're on a budget, like I know I am, we'll take you in the kitchen with Alyssa to show you how to make college food on a budget. So sit back
Relax.
and enjoy.
College Kitchen.
Oh, hey guys, it's me, Christian, one of your very own Backyard Boston hosts. I swear there's another one around here somewhere. Maggie! Well, anyway, Boston's a great city to get around in, whether you're walking or taking the T. Holy Jesus!
Hey Christian, what
Hi,
a great
Maggie.
segue
Oh, no.
into our segment.
Maggie, we talked about this.
Watch us on the Emerson channel where we show
Please
you
don't.
our segue around Boston.
I give up.
And we're back. A new app called People has been announced for release that will allow anyone to anonymously rate anyone else they know, whether they want them to or not. Billed as Yelp for People, the app claims to help you avoid problematic individuals, just as reviews might help you avoid a bad restaurant. Except there's no way to opt out of this, and bad reviews, factual or not, will remain visible permanently. Although this app could potentially violate privacy rights, it could also help avoid harmful interactions. So should this app even exist?
We live in a social media age on Facebook. Everything is out there publicly. It's a great way for families, like mothers, to know like where their children are, like people they're hanging out with.
Yeah, and the co-founder, Nicole McCall, she said in the Washington Post, they quote, "As a mother of two in an era where people don't always know their neighbors, she wanted something to help her decide whom to trust with her kids." So it's more of like knowing who you're around, like who are the people around you? Are you in a safe area? Are they like a reliable person?
Okay.
And while I agree, it's important to know certain facets of people. Are they trustworthy with your children? Are they good at certain subjects? We cannot rate people on a numerical scale and whole. How do you rate creativity? How do you scale kindness? People are more than the sum of their parts, and to rate them as an entire whole is simply dehumanizing, and we cannot live in a society where we do
And
that.
furthermore, to convert the human experience to an app is just pitiful. I mean, to say that a mother shouldn't go and meet the parents of the house that their children are going over to, and instead should look them up on an app, that's excellent, yes. Where are you going tonight? Oh, I'll look it up on an app. How's their house?
Well, it's not looking up on the app. It's
It is-
about, you would look it up beforehand, like for backend, like background information.
Instead of meeting, it's outsourcing the human experience to,
Well,
to the internet.
It's about the person as a whole, and to review someone, you have to be 21, you have to have an established Facebook account, and you have to make reviews under your real name. So it's not
Yes, because
really
Facebook is so stringent about checking your real
but
name.
it's not like an anonymous, like random person reviews other random person to bully. They even keep the reviews in a private inbox for 48 hours to ensure that the reviews
They keep
are
the reviews in
trustworthy.
a private inbox for 48 hours because there was such strong backlash that they were forced to. They didn't want to do that. Furthermore, the co-founder of the app has been forced to since say they're rethinking the launch entirely. The backlash of this is so strong that we've had anyone from celebrities, John Oliver blatantly saying to this woman, "Oh, you want people to talk nicely to each other. Have you ever been on the internet? It's not a nice place. People aren't going to say nice things. This app is supposed to bring out the positive side in people. Anyone rated lower than 3 isn't going to make a friend in college, okay? This means that your ex-girlfriend, you could have your ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, your ex-partner can go and rate you and go tear you apart on this app. And then your future employer can go and see, oh, this guy had a bad relationship. Not going to hire him.
And furthermore, there's no way to take these things off the site. That you whether you have an account or not are subject to being rated. It's a violation.
Actually, no. If you don't have an account, only positive reviews are posted.
So it's either
Another change that was made after they were forced to, by the
So
way.
then
But that's what apps do.
why
They
have an account
constantly
then?
regenerate.
Why would you
Yeah.
want an account? Why would you want negative reviews? The solution here is for no one to use this website.
Why would you sign up for Facebook when they have all the rights to your statuses, to your Facebook pictures, to...
They don't. That's a complete choice made by you. Facebook does not have a right to a single one of those.
And that's what this app is getting at.
The further point is, people don't want this. Why create an app that people don't want? There are over 7,000 signatures on a petition made 2 days ago trying to ban this from even coming out through Apple. Apple is now considering banning the very principle because of how harshly horrible it is. Because of the sheer fact that you can tell a person they're not worth making other friends based on this app.
But even in the bottom of the article, it discussed how it's going to be more professional. They're shaping it up.
Which
to be-
article is this?
The Washington Post.
Thank you.
You're welcome. At the bottom, it's gonna threw me off right there. So yeah, at the bottom, they're gonna make it more professional, like LinkedIn. So it's LinkedIn mixes with Yelp. I mean, it's a great way.
That's a good point, guys. We're out of time. That was a great debate. We have to go to our judges. What do you guys think?
Okay, now we're heating up. All right. I loved this round. I loved both teams. I thought that Colonial did a great job holding their own against Paramount. But once again, y'all went in. Oh, my goodness. I thought you guys had your points really together. I love what you said about sum of parts and dehumanizing and the nature of internet dialogue and how it can affect like employers and all that great stuff. The thing that I thought about was image manipulation with regard to this app and how that is a nebulous area that could be used for good or bad. So I have to give it to Paramount.
I really loved how Colonial said social media age, because that is exactly what we're in. But what really stuck to me was Paramount's phrase of dehumanizing, because I know how you said it helps with parenting, but at the same time, I think it makes people lose the parenting aspect of their lives and their responsibility with actually learning how people are, while it just listening to other people's judgment. So that's why I really understood Paramount's point of view with that and how it loses people interaction. So yeah, I picked Paramount for that.
So I just got through reviewing you all based on your debate performance on People. So I am actually going to give it to the, what is it, Centaurs? I keep
Colonial
forgetting.
Centaurs.
Well, first of all, I'm just impressed that you were able to make an argument at all. But I also felt that your argument was based in just foundational logic instead of words that were meant to appeal to emotions. It was very, very close the whole time.
True.
But I am going to have to give my point to the Centaurs.
All right, thank you, judges. So, Pegasi, you've won the second round as well as the first round. You guys did a great job, and we'll go into our next debate. We have one more debate coming up. Unfortunately, you can't opt out of this commercial break, but don't worry, Speechless will be right back. And now on to our third debate. Black Lives Matter activists in Minnesota recently planned to disrupt the St. Paul City Marathon with a protest. But following threats of arrest and a meeting with the city's mayor, they backed out and instead carried out a peaceful protest without disturbing the marathon. While the activists technically did have the right to protest during the marathon, there could have been major chaos during that event. As situations like this continue to occur, officials beg the question, when there are threats or promises of disruption, does public safety supersede the right to assemble? Pegasi, what do you guys think?
Well, I'd like to correct you on a point real quick. First of all, they didn't have the right to interrupt that marathon. Nowhere, anywhere, in any legal document does it say you have the right to interrupt a public event for any reason. I mean, first and foremost, the Bill of Rights gives people the right to assemble, not to assemble publicly without a permit. That's actually a very important explanation. The Bill of Rights very clearly says we protect the right of people peaceably to assemble. It was very clear this was not going to be peacefully. It was going to be dangerous. It was going to be in the middle of a crowd of people. And by the way, there was a peaceful public assembly happening that day. It was the marathon. It was the marathon which got a permit months ahead of time, which legally did their job, legally had everyone sign up, and then ran peacefully.
What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know last time Yale got his own permit to protest, but it's extremely difficult, and it's a bunch of bureaucracy. And the reason why it's in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights is to protect that. And so it is our First Amendment right to protest. And second of all, you had no idea whether or not these protesters were going to be violent or unsafe or harm other people. It was assumed.
You're
Because-
correct.
Well, the reason that it was assumed was because they did not have a permit. What a permit implies is that you have made the proper precautions to act safely. And I think if they were to get a permit, it would in fact be safe. But we not only need to know that you're protesting, but we need to know what precautions you're taking in order to do it safely. And if that's not done, I think it's completely fair to say, hey, we're having a public event and we want everyone here to be safe and to feel safe.
Exactly.
And if we don't feel
And
safe,
if you-
we need some proof that this is going to
Why
be a
we
safe
have to
event. 100%.
back to the first grade. I
Well,
mean, these
we
are
don't need
basic
to go back to
skills
the
of
first grade, but we
safety.
can refer to the
It's common
Supreme Court in
sense.
1960 when they said Cox v. New Hampshire very clearly ruled that the people do not have the right to assemble without first consulting authorities and letting the authorities provide and protect them. 2 weeks ago, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, in the Boston Common, there was a very large, peaceful marijuana rally, okay? Now, that was done peacefully. That was done with police protection, not police disruption. The police actually protected that rally because they had a permit to be in the Common legally.
But then it also goes back to the First Amendment. Like,
The First Amendment doesn't protect people breaking the law, it protects people following the law.
But they are following the law. There's
The law says
Freedom of
peaceably.
peaceably. But I mean, who gets to judge that?
Well, in this case, the city mayor judged it when he said you can't interrupt the marathon because it's dangerous.
Well, if I want to protest like a presidential event, I mean, who's going to decide?
You can protest outside the police barricades where it's actually completely legal to protest.
This is a good
It's
point.
completely legal to protest in a public area defended by police.
But yes, but like, who makes like what kind of impact is it going to make? First of all,
Well, if the police see a foreseeable violent action, they prevent that
well,
violent
who
action.
gets to decide? I mean, we can see
The
throughout
police
history,
get to decide.
Police, well, who made them like that? Gave them that much power?
The
I mean,
Constitution.
the
It-
Constitution
it's-
did not give police
The
officers the
Constitution
right.
says peaceably.
that
We
is
have
true.
we have people
Peacefully.
enforcing peace.
well,
What
look
it
at the
comes down
revolution.
to is what our definition of peace is. We say that you need to have a guarantee of peace, that we should all be guaranteed safety, and that if you can't guarantee our safety, you shouldn't have the right to assemble.
Furthermore, we in this country are very strong supporters of civil disobedience. By all means, if you want to speak your mind, but there's a very important word in civil disobedience. The first one, civil. Do it civilly. Don't hurt people. Don't interrupt a marathon. Don't break laws.
Guys, in your prediction, did you think these protesters would have done anything violent, or do you think if they interrupted the marathon, it would have been chaotic?
Well, I mean, we can see with Bernie Sanders in Washington, in Seattle. I mean, those protesters got up on stage and interrupted him, and that was peaceful. They didn't have a permit to do that. I mean, are you going to need a permit every time someone gets you don't like someone?
I really wish we had more time. We're out of time. We have to go straight to our judges.
Gosh, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. This was arguably the toughest and sort of weightiest of the topics. And for me, I have to give it to Paramount. Y'all went in, y'all went in. I loved that you guys talked about needing a permit as an indicator of what safety precautions had been taken, and a sort of sense of orderliness. What I would have liked to have seen more of or heard more of from both sides was the issue of racial bias with a lot of these Black Lives Matters gatherings. So that's what I would have liked to have seen.
I personally would, if I had to pick between these two to be a debater, I would pick Colonial, because I always believe like you need to have freedom of speech no matter what. But I really loved how Paramount supported their argument, because I love how you brought up the Bill of Rights and the word peaceful and along that, and how the Supreme Court and civil disobedience. I like when things are explained like that. I think it really supports an argument, even if I don't personally agree with that. So yeah, that's why I go with Paramount.
It is utterly ridiculous, just the concept of having to get a permit to protest the government. However, I do have to give it to the Pegasi, yes, because you guys supported your arguments with legal standing, history of Supreme Court, specific constitutional quotes. You guys did a very good job at supporting your ideas, and
Really, this whole evening.
It's been great. All three debates were great on both sides, but you guys win 2 rounds for me.
All right, thank you, judges. Well, Pegasi, you've won the 3rd round, and you happen to have won the entire episode. But I just want to thank all of you guys for being here. I think this is great conversations we're having, and just really great, stimulating debates. That's all for us tonight. We'll see you next time on Speechless.